Hola, and thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'll be talking about how you can pay for your study abroad program. The biggest myth that I hear about studying abroad is that it's too expensive. It isn't if you're smart about it. So today I'll be covering 4 ways that you can pay for your study abroad program. Method 1, find a job while you're abroad. This sounds kind of scary, but it really isn't, especially if you're studying abroad in a country where you already speak the language. There's 3 main reasons that I really advocate this one. The first, obviously you get some extra income, right? That never hurts. The second is you get to put that on your resume that you worked in a foreign country. That's a big benefit. And the last one is that you get to learn more about your host country when you're working in it. Obviously, this one's a little easier if you're in a country where you already speak the language, but this is still possible if you don't live in a country where you speak the language. Again, I lived in Japan and I taught English there, and they paid me for teaching university students about like conversational English skills, and it was a great experience. I met a lot of people through that, and my coworkers were great, and overall it's a really awesome thing to do. And again, you get that extra income, and it's kind of harder in some countries where the visa might be a little harder, but thankfully if you're interested in going into Japan, it's very straightforward. I went down to City Hall, and in about an hour they kind of just signed off on my work visa, and that was it. I started working. You can work more than 20 hours a week, but I really wouldn't recommend that, because then you'll be losing a lot of time when you're abroad, and you'd rather spend it exploring, I'm assuming. This second way is not really a way to generate new income. It's more of a reminder of the income you already have that you can use abroad. By this, I mean if you're already receiving scholarships, whether they be private or whether they be, FAFSA like scholarships and grants, you can use those to apply to your study abroad program, because for the most part, a study abroad is an exchange where you're paying your home tuition and you're just studying abroad in another university. So with that, you can obviously still use that source of income or scholarships that you have, and just don't forget that, because it's something I didn't really think about. I thought it was gonna be way more expensive than it was, but when I realized I can use these scholarships that I have already, it made it a lot easier to go abroad, and gave me more financial independence. Of course, please verify this one with your home university, because there's a lot of universities in the US and abroad, so you want to make sure that that is applicable to you. If not, you're gonna have to apply to more scholarships, and if it is, well, thankfully, you can't use that money. Okay, method 3, I kind of touched on just a little bit in the method 2, but pick a cheaper country to go study abroad in. If you're on a budget, you're probably not gonna wanna go to a country like Sweden, where the prices are notoriously high. Pick a country more like Costa Rica, where it's a little more affordable to go there. Again, this method isn't necessarily generating any new income, but it's just showing you a way how you can afford to go abroad. Maybe it just won't be Sweden or Germany, where it's just a little more expensive to live in. Think about it. You have your monthly kind of budget already for entertainment, for food, for rent, all that stuff, right? So take that same budget that you have and now apply it to a country that's much cheaper than living where you are at. And suddenly you have a lot more extra income to use for fun, recreational use, or to save. If you put it in those contexts, you do have extra money, and it is more affordable to sometimes go to another country. The dorm while I was abroad was about the same price. Actually, it was cheaper than what I paid here at my home university to share a room with someone else. And I had my own dorm, my own bed, my own desk, and shared facilities, but it was a much better quality of living than it was here, and that's abroad in another country, right? So it doesn't have to be more expensive to study abroad. If you're smart and you look into your options, and then you count the costs and see how much you spend here and what you will spend in another country, sometimes it's actually even more beneficial to go abroad and study. Method 4 is probably the most obvious one, but that's why I saved it for last, because it's also the longest one. And the reason for that is because scholarships. There are plenty of scholarships out there that will help you pay for your study abroad program. Did you already know that there was scholarships available just for studying abroad? It just goes to show how important a lot of people think going abroad and getting that experience is. The best one that I know is called the Gilman Scholarship. This is a scholarship given by the US Secretary of State, which is solely for students who are studying abroad. The amount you get depends on how long you'll be abroad. Since I was abroad for a year, they gave me $5,000, which is a good amount of money. So I highly recommend this one, okay? Another good one by the US government is called the Boren Scholarship. This one, they give you a lot more money. For a year, max is about $20,000. There is a bit of a caveat though, that when you come back, you do have to work for a federal position for about a year. So if it lines up with your kind of career goals, if you want to go into the Department of State or the military or something like that, this aligns with you perfectly because you're already going to be working in a federal level and you can actually get this money. Major and general scholarships are ones that I recommend that you look into as well. I studied political science for my undergrad, and my department had funds only for for political science students, for scholarships for them, and thankfully I got one which was for about $1,000, you know, so that's a good sum of money that you can use while abroad. And it wasn't necessarily geared for studying abroad, but it was just, if you're a political science student, submit a paper and you can get the scholarships, and I did. So it's worth looking into that for your particular major, because you might find that you actually have money available to you exclusively to your major. And for for general scholarships, I'm not gonna get too much into that just because there's so many. So if you Google, you know, scholarships, like I'm pretty sure you have already to pay because it's expensive for school, right? So just look at those, and that money you most likely will be able to use while you go abroad. Kind of a special one. Sometimes your host country will give you scholarship to study abroad there. That happened to me. The government of Japan, thank you so much, arigato, gave me about $8,000 for my year abroad there. This was like an $800 stipend every month, and it's called the JASO, so look into it if you're interested in Japan. So just keep in mind that sometimes there are countries that will pay you to go study abroad there. Germany, it's free tuition even for international students. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. So just, you know, look into the countries where you're gonna go and see if there's a possibility that the government itself will give you money to go study abroad there. Hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully it kind of, you know, keeps away those fears of studying abroad because you think it might be too expensive. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. And if you know anybody who is trying to figure out how are they gonna pay for a study abroad program, or they think it's just too expensive, share this video with them and hopefully it encourages them to go study abroad. So, arigato for watching, guys. I will see you guys next week.